There comes a time in your life when everything feels quiet, but not the peaceful kind. The kind of silence that screams, the kind that exposes what you never wanted to believe. You look around and suddenly realize no one's really there. Not when you're at your lowest. Not when you're drowning in your thoughts. Not when your heart is breaking and your soul is tired. Where are they now? The ones who called you family. The ones who said, "I got you, always." The ones who smiled in your face and cheered when you were on top. They're gone, and all you're left with is a harsh, brutal truth. They were never really for you. You showed up for everyone. You stayed up late for their problems. You answered the calls. You gave advice. You gave comfort. You gave so much of yourself. But when you needed just a fraction of that love in return, all you got was silence. And that silence, it wasn't a mistake. It was the moment the truth took the mask off. Because not everyone who stands beside you is standing with you. Not everyone who says I love you means it. And not everyone who laughs with you in the light is willing to sit with you in the dark. That's the painful part about growing. You realize that loyalty is rare, real love is quiet, and most of what you thought was friendship was just proximity. They weren't loyal. They were just there, but now you know, and now you rise. Stop expecting loyalty from people who only showed up for the sunshine, but disappeared the moment it started to rain. They loved the version of you that didn't need anything, the version that smiled, served, gave, and expected nothing back. But the second you stumbled, the second you needed a hand instead of giving one, they faded, slowly, quietly. Almost like they were never really there to begin with. And that's the truth you didn't want to see. Some people never intended to stay. They were there for the ride, not the responsibility. There for the good times, not the growth. You gave them your loyalty. You gave them your silence when you could have spoken up. You excused their distance, forgave their delays, accepted their half-effort as enough, because deep down, you thought, maybe they'll show up next time. But they didn't, and they won't. You need to stop confusing history with loyalty. Just because someone's been in your life for years doesn't mean they were ever truly for you. Sometimes the people closest to you were just the ones standing next to you, not the ones walking with you. And that's why it hurt so bad. You didn't lose a friend. You lost an illusion, an idea of who you thought they were. An expectation you built in your heart, and they never earned. Let that sink in. You've been breaking your own heart trying to teach people how to love you, trying to get them to see your worth, trying to keep connections alive that flatlined a long time ago. You waited on calls that never came. You typed out messages and erased them just to protect your pride. You celebrated them in private, but cried about them in silence, because deep down, all you ever wanted was someone to love you back, to meet you halfway, to hold you when life got too heavy. But instead, you became the strong one, the fixer, the giver, the shoulder, until you ran out of pieces to give. And when you finally said, "I need help," they vanished. That is your lesson. Stop expecting yourself in other people. Your heart is rare, your loyalty is not common, and your capacity to love, even when it hurts, is something most people will never understand. So stop explaining. Stop lowering your voice just so someone else can feel comfortable. Stop trying to shrink your spirit to fit into their small version of love. They couldn't handle your truth. They couldn't match your energy. They couldn't walk beside you, because your growth made them feel stuck. You reminded them of what they weren't willing to become. That's not your fault. That's their fear. Let them talk. Let them twist it. Let them leave. Because when someone walks away from real love, they're not walking away from you. They're walking away from the best thing they'll never have again. So here's what you do now. You stop chasing closure. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop looking back at empty spaces trying to fill them with memories. Instead, you rise. You reclaim your energy. You rebuild your boundaries. You protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. You give yourself the love you spent years handing out to people who only took. And no, it's not loneliness you're feeling. It's alignment. It's elevation. It's the painful but necessary process of becoming everything they didn't believe you could be. You're not alone. You're becoming. Becoming someone who no longer begs for what they deserve. Someone who sees silence as protection, not punishment. Someone who can sit in solitude and still feel whole. Let them talk. Let them leave. Let them go. Because the truth is, you never needed them to feel worthy. You never needed them to be enough. And you sure don't need them to become the person you were born to be. If this message touched something in you, not just in your mind, but in your soul, leave this in the comments. I'm done expecting. Let it be your quiet stand. Let it speak for the part of you that's finally choosing peace over pain, self-respect over silence, and healing over hoping. And if someone comes across your comment, let it remind them they're not the only one letting go. They're not the only one who gave too much, stayed too long, and finally chose themselves. So take a breath. Let the pain pass without apology, and share this message with someone who's been carrying too much for too many. They deserve to heal too. No more chasing, no more fixing, no more explaining. This is your moment to break free and begin again. There comes a moment in life when you stop chasing after people who were never meant to stay. You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving your worth. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally started healing. Let them walk away. If they could leave you while you were still bleeding, still fighting, still giving, they were never built to stand beside you in your becoming. Some people were only ever meant to be chapters, not your whole story. And when they walk away, that's not the end. It's the beginning of you finding yourself without the noise of people who never saw your value. So don't hold the door for those who closed it in your face. Don't beg for presents from those who made you feel like a burden. You're better without the weight of people who never knew how to carry you. They walked away because they couldn't handle the fire inside you. Not because you were too much, but because you were everything they pretended to be. Your presence made them feel exposed. Your truth made them feel small. And instead of rising to meet your energy, they chose to disappear. But listen closely. Their walking away was never your loss. It was a divine unveiling. God used their exit to show you their true character, not to hurt you, but to free you. Because every person who left, every silence you didn't understand, every distance you didn't deserve, it all created space. Space for your healing, space for your peace, space for alignment, space for the version of you that no longer settles, no longer begs, no longer breaks to be accepted. You spent so long blaming yourself, wondering what you could have done differently. Maybe if you were quieter, more patient, less intense, more agreeable, maybe they would have stayed. But you don't need to shrink to be loved. You don't need to perform to be chosen. You only need to be real, and that alone will remove the ones who never truly valued you. They didn't walk away because of your flaws. They walked away because of your growth, because deep down, they were never committed to your becoming, only to your belonging. And the moment you outgrew their comfort zone, you became a threat. Let that sink in. Your strength triggered their weakness. Your healing exposed their wounds. Your confidence reminded them of how much they still hide. And that's not on you. You were loyal, even when they were inconsistent. You gave, even when they offered excuses. You stayed long after they emotionally checked out. And now you think you lost something? You lost the illusion. You lost the attachment. You lost the weight. But what you gained, That's the part no one talks about. You gained clarity. You gained boundaries. You gained the courage to protect your peace, no matter who gets offended. You gained the ability to sit with your own soul and feel whole again. Because the moment they walked out, something else walked in. Self-worth. You started choosing yourself. You started healing in silence. You started loving the parts of you that others overlooked. And now you walk with a different kind of power. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't wait. Because when you finally see who someone is without your presence, you stop asking for their return. You stop waiting for closure. You stop expecting apologies that were never sincere. You just let go, not because you're bitter, but because you're finally free. You're not better off because they left. You're better off because you saw who they were, when you were no longer carrying the relationship on your back. They were never your forever. They were your lesson, a mirror, a test, a season. So don't mourn their absence. Don't replay the betrayal. Don't keep watering a connection that was already dry when you showed up. Let them walk away. Let them go with their silence. Let them go with their pride. Let them go with their misunderstandings. Because the right people will never make you beg to be seen. The right people won't leave when it gets hard. The right people won't punish your light. They'll protect it. And until those people arrive, be that person for yourself. Love yourself enough to not chase what's running. Value yourself enough to not reopen what God has closed. Respect yourself enough to choose peace over patterns. Your destiny never needed them. Your future is not behind you, it's within you. And now that they're gone, you finally have room to grow without limits. So stop waiting, stop wondering, stop hurting over those who chose to walk away. Their exit wasn't your ending, it was your awakening. Let them walk away, because you were always better without them. If you've been carrying silent pain from people who left without a goodbye, if you've ever blamed yourself for being too much, too loyal, too available, if this message made something inside you finally breathe again, this is your moment. Don't hold it in. Don't stay silent like you always do. Declare something for yourself, not for them, for you. Drop this in the comments as your personal turning point. They left. I rose. Let those words be the burial of what you used to carry. Let them echo louder than the silence they left you in. And as you type it, know this: you're not alone. You're not the only one who gave too much and got too little. But you are one of the few strong enough to turn that pain into purpose. So share this with someone who's been quietly breaking but needs to hear that losing them wasn't the loss. It was the beginning. And let your words in the comments be the reason someone else doesn't go back to what broke them.